In India, right to vote is a very important for the functioning of the democracy, and it is a symbol of not just equality but also empowerment. Hello aspirants, this is Pratyusha. Welcome to Law Excellence, and in this today's session we're going to have an in-depth analysis about right to vote, what are the different rights that we have been having, what are the recent development that has been present regarding the right to vote, what are the key questions that have been arise regarding the right to vote, what are the policy challenges and the reforms that have been needed. Now first, when we come towards the right to vote and what is a right that has been there. Now generally we have different natural rights that are being present, and those natural rights can be divided into the legal rights. Then we have the constitutional rights, where constitutional rights is again divided into fundamental rights and the statutory rights. So first, coming towards the legal rights that have been there, they are derived from the legislature that has been there, where they are very strong, and we have the processes that have been involved regarding the provision of the legal rights to the citizens. Now, we also have the constitutional rights that have been there, where in the constitution, either with the part 3 or part 13 that has been there, there is a jurisdictional enforcement has also been found in the court. And these constitutional rights can also be divided into the fundamental rights and the statutory rights. Fundamental rights, we all know, they are the part of part 3 of the constitution, where they are considered as the heart, soul and the foundation of the constitution, and no citizen is being devoid of these fundamental rights, and if anyone is being devoid of the fundamental rights, they can go directly to the court and appeal for the rights that have been there. Now similarly, we also have the statutory rights that are being present, where statutory rights are being passed by the legislature, and it has been applicable to the only particular target groups that have been there. Now this is where we are having the right to vote that is being present. Now when we see the foundation where we have been having the right to vote structure, now in India, the foundation to the right to vote is being given under a statutory right that is being present, and it is not a fundamental right, because through a legislation, to an act, we are having the right to vote that is being provided. For example, it is derived from the article 326 that is being present, where it provides the elections to the Lok Sabha and state assemblies, where the citizens, whenever they are being attaining age of 18 years, they have the right to vote and right to elect our constitutional leaders that are being present. This right to vote is being coming from two rules that have been there. One, we have two acts. One is the Representation of People's Act 1950 and 51 that has been present, and the second one, we have the rules of conduct of the elections that have been there. And the Supreme Court time and tidily is been discussing regarding the right to vote that has been there. Now in recent ones, we have People's Union for Civil Liabilities and the Union of India. In this one, Supreme Court has directed that knowing the candidate, what is the candidate's background that's been there, assets that have been present. Now, knowing the candidate is a right, and this one comes under the freedom of speech. But in before case that if you can see, we have Jyoti Basu and Debi Ghoshal that has been present. In this one, the Supreme Court itself has stated that the right to vote is a statutory right, but it's not a fundamental, nor it is a common law right that has been present. So there is some sort of contradiction that's been present here. Generally, we are observing that the right to vote is a statutory right, but here the right to vote and right to know about the candidates electing or candidates who are being present in the election comes under the freedom of speech that is being present. Now when we come towards what are the recent developments that are being present in the right to vote or in the election commissions that have been present, one is that recently there is an inclusion of marginal groups that have been there, marginalized voter. Now it's been done by the election commissioner in Kolkata region. What they have done, they have included the voters regarding the visually impaired that have been there, and also there is an enrollment of the students belonging to the physically handicapped persons that have been, or specially abled persons that have been present. Now with this inclusion, what are the steps they have been taking? They have started introducing the braille voter slips that have been there, where the visually impaired persons through the braille voter slips can elect their elected readers. Then we are also having the home voting option, where there is an physically abled persons have been there, where 100% has been there. Now those persons, they have been given to exercise the right of vote through the home option that has been there, and there is a sensitization of the election officials that have been there, the presiding officers that have been present. Now they have been aware about the different communities that have been exercising the right to vote. Then the main significance significance is that it aligns with different fundamental rights that have been there, Article 14, 21, and also regarding the UN Convention on the Rights of Peoples with Disabilities that have been present. It also enhances the electoral inclusivity. So we're not leaving behind anyone regarding the right to vote, regarding the elections that have been there. Now, recently, there is also another news that states about the special intensive revision that has been going on in the Bihar state. Now, in this one, what they have been doing, they are re-verifying, or re-verification has been done regarding the voter list that is being present. Now, in this, there is a petition that has also been filed in the Supreme Court, where they have stated that what right is the election commissioner is having to re-revise the bill or re-revise the voter list that is being present. Now, the court has stated that yes, election commissioner has a right according to the Article 324, where they can revise and they can correct the voter list that's been present. Now, accordingly, they have taken up a special intensive revision that's been there, SIR that's been there, where they are revising the list based on the verification. Either the residents have to be showing the voter card, or they have to show the Aadhaar card or the ration card that is being present. And the election commissioner also have stated that regarding the petition, even though if a person has been removed from the voter list, from the voter name that has been there, he is not being removed from the constitution, or he is not being removed of the citizen rights that have been there. He is just removed from the voting list that's been present. Now, the opposition has been stated that due to this, there is a large amount of disenfranchisement has been going on, where large amount of people who had the right of vote will now lose because they're not having proper verification or proper proof of address is not being present. And this majorly affects few communities, the minor communities that have been there. For example, we have Dalit, Adivasis, the Muslims, the migrant laborer community that has been there. Now, they are been having large amount of effect. And this drive also having some sort of ethical and legal concerns are also being increased, where it is large amount of due process that's been there. It is also having a discriminatory impact that has been going on. It is violating the free and fair election phenomena that we have been having. Now, when we come towards what are the general questions that have been there regarding the right to vote. First question that has been recently arising and continuously that has been coming up is that should voting be made fundamental? As we started with the session, the right to vote is a statutory right that we are being. Now, should the right to vote be fundamental or it should not be fundamental? There's a constitutional debate that's been going on. Now, we'll talk about what are the arguments for this statement and what are the arguments that have been against the statement. First, we'll go to the arguments for. So, it is beneficial for right to vote to become the fundamental right. First one we have is it can enforce strong accountability. Here, the arguments for that we have been discussing, first one we have here is that it can enforce strong accountability that has been present. It means that if it has become the fundamental right, now I will have the voting right and I will be asking where my vote is being present, I will exercise my vote, I will elect my own leader that's been present. Second one, it provides legal remedies for the exclusion. For example, during the revision of the election commissioner, and they might remove my name from the voter list that's been there. Now, in this process, I can go to the court, I can go and appeal to the court regarding my right to the vote, as it is a fundamental right that's been there. Other one, it equates the act of voting with the democratic essence of the constitution, as constitutional is having a fundamental principle of the right to vote that is being present for the easy functioning of the democracy. Then, what are the arguments against the right to vote becoming the fundamental right? First one, it can overload judiciary. For example, we have millions of people that have been there, and if some lakhs of people have been removed from the voting list, and all these lakhs of people will put the petition in the court, now that becomes a judiciary burden that has been there. Then the voting rights are already well codified under the existing laws. Now you can see Representative Act, the code of conduct that is being present. Now here we have already revised, we have directly stated the clear indication regarding the right to vote that's been already present. Then we have legal obligation may infringe on individual liberty that's been there. Now if it becomes the right, it becomes compulsory voting that's been there. The other one we have here recently is that whether the age for the right to vote should be decreased. As we can see, in UK, the decision has been made that the lowering for the voting age is 16 years. Now, we already know in India, according to the Act, 18 years is the age where the voting right has been exercised. Now, for this, we have certain pro arguments and the con arguments that have been there. The pro arguments is that when the people are being given the voting rights at the age of 16 itself. Now this gives a civic education that's been there. They will know what is the government that's been doing, what are the leaders that have been there, who are been ruling the country and all, etc. And it also encourages the different youth in the democracy that's been present. And the cons that have been involved is that 16 years age is considered as they're not having proper maturity, because there's a transitional stage that's been present, the teen stage that's been there. Then there's less amount of political awareness, and they are easily susceptible for the manipulation that have been there. Either they have been manipulated by the nearby people or the parents that have been there. So true democracy and true right to vote may not be availed with the age that has been present with the 16 years that have been there. The next one we have is, what are the key challenges with respect to the right to vote that's been there? The first one is the voter list accuracy and disenfranchisement that's been there. Here, as I told, the verification has been done door to door, home to home, that has been present, where the Aadhaar card, voter ID and the ration card has been given. So first one we have is the voter list accuracy and disenfranchisement that's been present. Now in the recent, we have already discussed that the verification has been done for the release of the voter ID that's been there. Either you have to show the ration card or either you should show the Aadhaar card, so that it has been stated you have been residing in this constituency that's been there. And there is a need for transparency, grievance redressal and human oversight over the role revision is being needed. Second one, there is a technology and the digital divide that's been there. Though in the recent elections, we have been introducing the EVMs, the VVPATs that have been there. The remote voting processes or proposal is still being not available. For this, what we have been doing, and we also have concerns regarding cyber security measures, digital literacy campaigns that have been there, transparency audits that need to be done. Then we have the third one, where we have the strengthening of the election participation. Now in the recent election also, you can see the participation of the voters in the urban areas is decreasing in nature. Now why? Because we need the electoral holidays or workplace flexibility should be present. Positive reinforcement should be there for the voters' certificates and discounts that have been there. So in India, for the democracy to thrive, the right to vote is not the essential, but also it has to be very much importance regarding the exercising. And it is very important for us, for the democracy that is being present, the Indian need not just the essence of the right to vote should be promoted, but they also have to promote the inclusivity that's been there, which increases the democracy of India. Thank you.